Good afternoon all, I hope you're keeping well. So we've got another one of our demo videos to share with you today. I am just going to give you a little apology. We have skylights here in our unit and I have no control on the light that's coming in, and suddenly the sun's decided to appear and it's going to bounce off a couple of bits and pieces, and I'm going to show you right at the beginning. But hopefully that will sort itself out and we'll manage to work around it. So let's get started. We are going to be working with simple snowdrops today. So we have the Simple Snowdrop stamp set. Let's bring this one in here and then we can list it. We've got Simple Snowdrop stamp set. We have our Onyx Black Versafine ink. We're going to use the Honeydew Crafts Crystal Clear Embossing Powder. We've got a clean colour pen in yellow green, which is number 53. And we're also using our Honeydew Crafts sticky glue, which has finally come back in, or will be back in this afternoon, in the 120ml bottles. You'll also need a heat tool for this one as well. So if we come and take that one away, get rid of that for a moment. So this is the stamp set we're using. As I say, apologies. Let's see if we can work this. There we go. Try and keep that glare off there. So we've got Have a Wonderful Day, Happy Birthday, Simple is Beautiful. We've got a large flourish. This is designed to work quite well on the 8x8 cards, and then the smaller one on the 6x6. So let's get started. Just move all these bits and pieces out of the way without bashing the camera would help. So, cardstock required for this one. So we have two 8x8 cards. They are designed for an 8x8 envelope, so they are slightly smaller than an 8x8 card, and we are, when we put it together, going to buff them together like so, so one folds into the other. We've also got a couple of strange measurements, I suppose, is for you. They are done in inches, our measurements, and the white piece here is a 4 by 1/8 and the black is 4.5. Then we have 4 pieces of white cardstock, 3 5/8 by 7 5/8, and then we have 4 black pieces for the layering, and they are 3 3/4 by 7 3/4. Hopefully you're with me so far. And then last but not least, we have one larger piece, and this one is, the white is 5 7/8 square, and the black is 7 3/4 inch square. I'm also going to apologise now because the dog is wandering around and she may decide to make herself vocally known in the area. So let's get started. Where are we going to go first? I think we will do our folds on the card first. So as I said, we're using 8x8 cards, and all I'm going to do, I'm not precious about this being a perfect fold, so I'm literally going to fold one side over, and I've taken my scoring tool and I'm just going to score through that, and that will give us sort of the zigzag. And I'm going to do the same with the other one. Take that over and put the scoring tool to use just to make that fold in there. And then you all know my little mantra: piece everything together as I'm going along so I don't lose it, because I'm always good at losing things, and then it's in plain sight really, but we don't think about it at the time. And we're just going to pop that, let my glue to run freely, which it was just before I started to record. What is going on? Let's try again. There we go. And we'll piece these two together. So my two cards have become one, and it's only one piece I've got to lose now. And we'll just crease that again, just to make sure that everything is secure. So we're going to end up with a card that looks like so, from the top. Right. I have put made some of this up already, but we'll do the basics just to show you before we go on to here's the pieces I made earlier. Block. So we're going to take the smaller of the two flourishes and the Onyx Black Versafine, and I'm just going to ink this stamp up. Lots and lots of little light taps. And we are going to position this down in the corner here. And put plenty of pressure on there to get our image on there and allow the ink to soak through onto the paper. Then we're going to take our crystal clear embossing powder and sprinkle that all over the top. Oh, I hate that noise. Light tap. Remember, when you're using the Versafine Onyx Black, don't give it the usual flick you would with embossing powder, because they're not the best of friends, so you've got to be a bit nice to it. Plenty of ink on here again. Can you believe we're 6 minutes into this video already? Where did the time go? Plenty of pressure on there again, allowing time for that ink to soak into the cardstock a little bit as well. Now, because we are doing two images on the same piece and then we're going to heat emboss it, I would recommend that you try and get the two pieces inked and embossed at once. Get your powder on the first one, and if you're really brave, you can do your sentiment in the middle as well. Depends how confident you are. It just makes it easier because quite often when you heat emboss, your cardstock will warp a little bit, so it makes it easier for you if it's all flat. That makes sense. Just for the stamping part of it. Have a wonderful day. And some embossing powder. My dog's just decided she's going to come and sit on my feet, which was very helpful of her, wasn't it? She might not hang around long now. I'm about to put the heat tool on and she might go flying. But first of all, we're going to put the lid on that embossing powder because it's going to go everywhere. So we're going to heat from underneath, and the only reason I do that is because it puts a barrier between the heat tool and the embossing powder, which allows it to stay in place a bit longer, because as I mentioned, they are not the best of friends, these two. So we're just going to heat that from underneath, melting that powder. And as you see it melt, just move your heat gun along. Don't waft your heat gun around like you're blow drying your hair. Hold it in place and just slowly move it along as the powder melts. If you're not used to heating from underneath, don't panic. You can do it from above. Just don't hold it too close when you're doing it from above. Hopefully the powder won't dance around too much. It does take a little bit of practice to heat from underneath. And it can get very, very warm under there, so mind your fingers as we're going. And just quickly do that sentiment. And there we are. That's that piece done. Give it, while it's still warm, a little bit of a wiggle, and that will help with the curling of the paper, hopefully. If you have got time and you can pop this to one side, I would try. I've sort of noticed that it starts to relax a little bit as it cools down, so leave it as long as you can. I'm going to pop that to one side. I'm going to take one of our smaller pieces, and then there's a couple of little things I need to tell you about this. This is obviously, from the measurements I gave you, not the size of our flourish, which isn't very helpful when we want to put it on our flourish. Put our flourish on it, should I say. So we're going to ink this stamp up as normal. majority of it fits on here. There's just a little section of it that doesn't. So I've taken a wet cloth or wet wipe or whatever you've got to hand, and this section here I'm going to clean off as best I can, and hopefully the ink won't transfer over from this one onto the image. So hoping that's all dry. And then ooh, that was close. And then it, as I say, it's quite a snug fit, but it does fit. Place that down and just give that a press down. As I said, it's going to be quite a quick card to show you today because I have already prepped some of it, but right from start to finish, even with cutting it all out, would be under an hour for this card, without doubt would be under an hour. Again, pop some embossing powder on here. A light tap to take the excess off, and then we shall heat this piece. Again, make sure your heat tool is warm before you do that. I didn't look at if you saw me heating it on the last part, so hopefully you'll see it this time, if I didn't get it on the last one. I have a feeling we might be just about to get a delivery, so I apologise now, somebody else will get that. Okay, so we're taking the clean colour pen. Oh, I should have mentioned we needed the blender as well. Bear with me a second while I just grab my blender. That should have been on the original list as well. So you need 2 pens for this one. You need the clean colour pen in yellow green, and you need the blender pen in as number 999, I believe it is. So we're just going to go in with our green, yellow green as it is, and colour all the leaves that need colouring in, and all the petals. Now obviously you're going to take a little bit more time doing this than I am. Some of you may have seen this video on, or this card made on the original Create and Craft and on the new Create and Craft. Oh no, I didn't get to it on the new Create and Craft, it sold out before we could do it. And I did say on there that I would do this as a demo video, so hopefully those of you that did manage to pick it up on the shows can now see the video. So we've just literally, you've seen how quick that was scribbled in. And then as far as colouring the flowers goes, I pop a little bit of the green onto the embossed part of the flower, and then with the blender pen, just in a circular motion, just pull a little bit of that colour out. You don't need a huge amount of it, just a small amount. And then a piece of kitchen paper beside you, just to take that colour out of your blender before you move on to the next one. Be careful that you don't smudge this as you're doing it. Be aware that this ink, wherever the embossing powder is that gets some of the ink from your pens on it, it will smudge really, really easily. So just clean your brush off each time, then go in with your kitchen paper and blot that. You'll be amazed at how much ink comes off, but obviously enough still stays there. And you can see that we've just got a little hint of the green in the bottom of the flowers and pulled that green through. I'm going to make one, we'll do this one as well and show you. So you're going to, let's reverse. You are going to do that 4 times. 1, 2, 3, and then this is our 4th. So you're going to do that 4 times. Layer this one up. So you've got them all together. And I'm just using our super smooth cardstock. This one is the 300 GSM. We do it in 300 and in 250. Because there isn't a huge amount of blending, if I was using these pens to blend lots of colour, I would use watercolour cardstock for this. But it works beautifully in this super smooth when you're not sort of pulling out lots of colour with different things. So we've got our 4 panels made up. So as I said, I told you I'd done some of this ahead of schedule, just to speed things up a little bit. I have also done our middle piece previously, so you saw me stick 2 cards together. You're going to see me stick this again because I forgot I hadn't done this piece. And all I've done is layer the black and white pieces together, coloured it in exactly the same way as we did. You see, exactly the same way as you've just seen me do the previous panel. So just a small little bit of green into the centre of the bottom of the flower and pulled that through. And then this will all piece together. Again, let's work this out. So I wanted this, I don't know if we can get the whole thing in the screen, so we'll chop and change it a little. I want these to look opposite, so they'll mirror this when I put it all together. And I try and line this piece up with this piece, so it all looks like it's all meant to be there. So again, just a small amount of glue on the back to hold that in place. And piece those together. And the same here. So that's one side of our card. Close it up. And I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So I'm going to top and tail, so it's going to mirror the centre piece again, but on the opposite side. It's fine if you want them both to go the same way. You could do it that way as well, but I actually quite like the fact that it all just follows on. I don't do random very well, so everything is always the same. It's all got to match. Piece those together. Again, doing our best to level the top and bottom up on those corners. And the final panel on there. For somebody that was going to do a quick short little video, we're already almost 20 minutes in. So that then pieces together and opens up like so. Now we just obviously need to do that front little panel there as well. So we are going to take our stamp again, ink that up, plenty of ink. Get rid of the excess in the middle there. Oh, nearly dropped that. There we go. Position that in the middle. Place that down. Plenty of pressure to allow the ink to soak into the cardstock a little. And then we have our stamped out image. Embossing powder on the top. Again, depending on how brave you feel, we will pop our sentiment on before we heat it as well. Again, just because it makes it so much easier to heat and emboss it all together at once. But remember, mind your fingers on that image that you've already put the embossing powder on. Little light tap. And we'll heat from underneath. This is a much smaller piece. Be careful, it gets really hot. So that's all the heat embossing done. And again, we will just colour this in as I showed you previously. Just going to pop a little bit of ink in the bottom there. And if I bring this up close, hopefully you'll see what I mean by just pulling that colour through. That's all you would need to do with it. Now I've already got one done so that you don't have to watch me colour that whole thing in. So we have a piece already coloured in, ready to go. So just while I remember, think about this when you're putting it together. This piece, you put the glue all over it to stick to your black. Now when we stick this onto here, we want this to still open. So you only want to put glue on one side. So really about 1/3 of it, really, you want glue on. You don't want to go crazy with all the way across. We all have been there and done that. And all would prefer not to do it again. So that's roughly in the middle, I think. By using the wet glue, it gives you a little bit of wiggle room time to make that fit. We're in level and straight. What do we think? Just go with that. And there we have it. Our happy birthday. Have a wonderful day. Fabulous snowdrop card. So we'll quickly spin back to remind you of what we've used. And then we'll show you a couple of other cards using these products. So we have used the Versafine ink, the crystal clear embossing powder, our clean colour pens in yellow green, which is number 53, and the blender, which is 99. We've used the Honeydew Craft sticky glue and simple snowdrops. Oh, see, I did warn you. I think we're about there. So on this one we have a wonderful day, happy birthday, and simple is beautiful. This one fits perfectly for a 6x6 card, and this one is lovely for an 8x8 card. So let's have a quick look at a few of our other cards that have been made with this particular stamp set. So this one is just being coloured with the greens and there's a little bit of lilac in there. Then we have another one similar to what we've just done, although this one's using the large flourish on the two corners and then the smaller one for the layer. Just because it's called Snowdrops doesn't mean they need to be white and green or any colour whatsoever. They don't have to be snowdrops. You can make them what you like. And this one's been done and coloured in with pink flowers, which I think is beautiful. This one, again, just been layered up with the green, so that just makes that green pop within the image. And it's got the Thinking of You is from one of our other stamp sets. Again, we've got some pink and lilac flowers on this one. Have a wonderful day. And then this one has just got some shading in the background, which actually makes the colour pop a little bit more on the yellow with the green foliage. And the flowers have just been left white. So we've got a little bit of blending in the background with Distress Oxides, I believe. So I think that, obviously, and then we've just got the card that we had just made. So again, originally right from the start, even down to cutting it out, you can make this card in an hour. It's a really nice card to make. Finish is really effective. You can find all the products we've used on our website. Now you get to see me again. So all the products are available on our website, honeydewcrafts.co.uk. If you have any questions, you can email us at honeydewcrafts.com. Also over on our website we have the gallery, which has got all the samples from our amazing design team, and it also lists all the events we've got coming up as well, so keep an eye on that. Thank you for watching. I hope you've all enjoyed it, and we'll see you again soon.